AirPlay is back. Family room, Apple TV. Come on. Turn Apple TV off. Let me try watching something different. We'll watch satellite. See if that does it. Go back to Apple TV. All right, it's not gonna. So, selecting multiple items and dragging them is the same way it works in Windows. And what you can do is, if you select one item and hold the Command key, everything else you click will be selected. And actually, if you click once, it's like a toggle, and click it again, it goes selected, not selected, selected, not selected. To do contiguous items, like if you have a list of documents or you have a bunch of photos, you click on the first item, hold the Shift key, and you click on the last item, and it will select every item in between. Shift is contiguous, and it should be on the back of that page you have there.
So Shift key, and then click on what you like.
So you click on the first item. You don't want to hold down anything first. You hold down the Shift key, and then click on the last item, and it will then select everything in between. And at that point, too, then you can forget that and go back to that Command key, because remember the Command key, which is the little clover leaf? You can select or deselect certain items in between. That works on files. That works on songs in iTunes. That works on photos in iPhoto. Okay? Yes, ma'am. You bet this is your first question. Welcome. Glad to have you here.
You haven't been in my category yet.
Oh, well.
Talking about emails in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of emails, and I want to delete them, but maybe I don't want to delete the whole thing, and I don't want to keep, the individual.
Right.
How can,
So you could do the click, shift, click, and then go in and say the 3 you don't want. Let go of everything for a second. Hold the Command key and click with the Command key held down. Click on the ones that you want to deselect. The Shift selects them all, the list. Hold Command and then deselect certain ones.
What if you want to, let's say you've been gone for 6 months. You want to delete all your emails.
You could click on the first one you want to delete, go to where the last one is, hold down the Shift key, click on it, and then all you do is simply hit the delete key or hit the little trash can in Mail. Okay? And Mail doesn't take up much room on your computer, so I wouldn't worry about it too much.
So is that's separate from like a Google Mail or something?
Well, no, so there's a little icon in Mail. It's a postage stamp on your Mac.
Oh, okay.
So just trying to get us back online here.
Is that on here?
I think you said it was.
So the Apple Mail is the postage stamp, and the first time you set it up, it'll ask you for your email address. Now, what you had asked about blocking.
And also if you have somebody's email that's going to junk mail all the time, to allow those.
Okay, so there's two kinds of, well, there's mail, right? And, this is all new to everybody. I mean, we don't get angry if we get ads in our post office mailbox, right? Well, but why? I mean, don't take it personal. And believe me, if you get this little email about how to make something larger, it's not personally to you. There's 300,000 other people that got the same email. And that is spam. So, one way to deal with it is, first of all, if you have a Gmail account, you probably have the best spam filter in the world because it's the largest mail carrier. And if it sees 300,000 emails come through for a certain thing, it's going to go, yeah, that's spam. So you'll probably never see it.
Right.
But let's say it makes, so that's their spam filter. And it's such a great spam filter that occasionally it will filter a false positive. Doug's Burgers, you're on their mailing list and it filters it out. You can go into gmail.com on the website and say, you know what, this isn't spam. Go ahead and let it come through. Okay? You can regulate that. If it gets to your inbox on your Mac in Apple Mail, or on your iPhone or your iPad, it got through the spam filter, and now on your Mac you have the option of saying it's junk, and it differentiates junk from spam. And what that means is, if something comes in, and like for instance, let's say you're on the Eddie Bauer mailing list, and it comes in, and if you hit junk, it will learn that it's junk. Do we know how to get our projector on by any chance? It's kind of, oh, you're not here. I saw, oh, you were looking for you. I saw you walking that way. I thought you were from here. Like, oh, okay. Never. Geez, I'm sorry. Anyway, so if it comes in and you tell it it's junk, the computer says, hey, if anybody sends anything from eddiebauer.com, put it in my junk folder. And your junk folder is set, usually, to delete things after 30 days. So first of all, it bypasses your inbox and goes to the junk folder, which is good, if you want it to filter out stuff you don't want. But let's say I want to go get something from Eddie Bauer. I would go to my junk folder, and the most recent ad from Eddie Bauer would be in my junk folder, so I can use it as a tool. And say, oh yeah, that vest is on sale. I'll buy it from the newsletter or from the email that I got. So your junk filtering goes into a special sequestered mailbox. Things will disappear in time. You don't have to go in and manually delete them, but they bypass your inbox. If you, bless you, if you get an email of something that you want to make sure it goes to your inbox, don't tell it it's junk, and you can do it from there. You can either delete or junk. But let's say that somebody sends you an email that you definitely don't want. Don't just delete it. Tell it it's junk. Because it needs to learn that you don't want that.
So is there a thing like a Gmail that says junk?
Not in Gmail, on your Mac. There's a thumbs up and a thumbs down. You're Siskel and Ebert, okay?
Yeah.
Thumbs up and thumbs down. And can't you see how nice it is? It's really easy to see.
Do you have to do that more than once? Mark it.
You know, you shouldn't. And remember, check your junk folder occasionally. Make sure that, you know, your message from someone didn't get in your junk folder by mistake. And you can unjunk it, which will get it out there. Anyway, we still don't have our screen. I'll try and grab it. Hey, Bob, the projector did not come back on. The projector's on, but Apple TV didn't come back on this time for some reason. And I'm pointing and drawing, and then I don't know. I tried it there. The projector came on, but it's not getting the source for some reason. And I did wake up Apple TV. Didn't do anything here, so it's like it's source up there, and that's the first time that's happened. Thank you. So again, it may inadvertently filter things to your junk folder, okay? And tell it, if it's something you want to go in your inbox, tell it it's not junk, and it learns it. But the spammers are pretty creative. They'll slightly change their email address, so it'll go. There is a thing in mail that can get a little center. It's called rules. You can set a rule to like totally just block something. Don't ever hit unsubscribe unless it's a reputable place, and don't hit bounce. Don't send it back to them, because then they verify that you have a legitimate email address. But you know what? Don't take it personal. Your neighbor probably got the same email, and it's just like,
So why don't you unsubscribe?
You don't unsubscribe from the spammers, because then they verify that you have a correct email address.
Oh, okay.
Only the reputable companies that you've probably subscribed to do the unsubscribes work, and they have to. So back to watch.
Watch the river.
Watch Apple TV. Sorry, see if that comes back on. We'll know in a second here, and then we can deal with the others. So we talked a little bit about Yahoo.
Right.
It's one of the toughest email accounts as far as going offline and things like that. And, you know, to be honest, your best bet is to not have your email reside with whoever you get your internet from. Because what if Bob and Joe's internet, what if Best Buy comes out with this? In fact, Google's rolling out internet packages throughout. What happens if someone comes along with super fast internet for 1/3 of the price you're paying right now? Well, I'd love to get it, but my email, I've had that email address forever with AT&T. So if you become independent, you're a free agent. If you become independent of that, then you can do whatever you'd
I
like.
have to change my email address.
But you can carry both. And in fact, you can keep that Yahoo if you want, but then just start using your new Gmail address, and people will start to learn that that's what it is. And that way, if all of a sudden they come along and say, okay, we're changing, you know, Sure West got bought by Consolidated. Sure West is very good that they're not changing it. Comcast went through, in a 6-year period, they changed their email address that everybody had Comcast had to change in the early days all the time because they stopped using At Home, they stopped using its site. Believe it or not, AT&T was the email provider for Comcast at one point. So Gmail is the best. It's got the best spam filter. And you know what? Everybody's concerned about this privacy thing. Gmail doesn't do anything any of the other providers don't do, but they just tell you what they're doing. And in fact, Gmail with this NSA thing is the first one that's going off on this thing where they're going to make it so if one Gmail account sends to the other Gmail account, it's completely encrypted and no one can intercept it in between. So there's some hope to that. Karaoke. You don't want me to do that, trust me. Oh, but we're there. Good. So let me get to AirPlay. Oh, no, you don't. Start at noon for my karaoke. Okay, you guys will be gone by then.
Is there a way to get from with your wireless mouse or on your Apple to change it from a right hand to the left hand?
On your key?
Yeah, if you want to use your mouse as a left-hand mouse so that you're clicking with your left-hand thumb.
Yeah, so in other words, right-click you want to be left-click and left-click you want to be right-click. Those are in system preferences, and again, the really cool thing about system preferences is, let's just type the word click in the little search box at the top up there, and look at that says, oh, well, click is up there. Mouse sensitivity, make back, look, so I'll click on mouse. Now I don't have a mouse attached to this, but let me show you with a trackpad, which I do have. That's called secondary click. And it will be on yours, you'll have a diagram of your mouse, and you can, and what's really cool is you have these little videos and shows you what you do. You can swap, on an Apple mouse, you can swap left and right clicks. You can assign, in fact, when we get ready to leave, we'll do it out here for you.
Okay.
Because that's, yeah. And believe it or not, you can have multiple keyboards and multiple mice hooked up to the Mac and have no problem at all. I have people with wired ones, their husband likes this one, the wife likes the cordless, and they can all be on at the same time. Now, there's no marital bliss if they're fighting over the keyboard, and it's, so. Let's talk about let's show that selection really quick here. So if I go to a screen, and I click on one thing and hold my command key, I can click on that, click on that, click on that, right? But let's say I come down here and I hold the shift key. There's the last one I clicked was bank 3. And if I hold the shift key, it's contiguous. And then again, hold the command key and I can deselect that one. Command is the little clover leaf. It's right on the closest thing on both sides of your space bar.
You can do Command A to mark them all.
Command A, yes. And actually, it's on your cheat sheet, but watch what Apple does. Here is some of your little cheaters right here. Remember the undo? We don't have anything to undo, but it's right there. I don't know what's up with our screen, why it's doing this, but we're kind of in the blackness. Now, I'm going to show you another little trick on a Mac because you may have brought, in fact, the best thing to do when you do a migration. Nobody asks this question. Well, I got a bunch of documents on my PC and I don't want them all on my Mac. No. Bring them all in and delete the ones you don't want. Because inevitably, you're going to not bring in one and 3 months later you're going to need that document. Bring it all in. You got plenty of room on your Mac. Bring everything in and then delete what you don't want. Because secondly, that gives you a bit of a backup on what happens if that PC dies tomorrow and you can't go back. So bring it all in. But let's say I want to look at my documents that I brought into my Mac. With one simple finger, I've single clicked on this to highlight it. And if I hit the space bar, it shows me the documents. It shows me whether it's a photo, whether it's a document, whether it's a PDF, and I'm just going down that list, right? If this were a song, it would even preview and play the song, and I have not opened any program at all. I'm simply, by hitting the space bar, and then I'm just using my up and down arrow. You can see I'm moving the cursor along the side. I don't know what this one is.
So you hit command?
No, just hit the space bar.
No, but before that.
All I do is select something. So I'll click off here. So here's a numbers document, which is like Excel. I'll just click that. So I hit the space bar. I click it one time, hit the space bar, and it's taking a little time to come up because it's probably a pretty big file. Or we can go to the PDF in Power Mac cheat sheet. See, hit the space bar, it's up. But then I have the option to say open with preview. Okay? With preview. So in other words, if I double click on it, it's going to open it. Or if I single click and hit the space bar, I can view it. Again, this is a way to go through and say, you know, how many times do you have a list of documents and you want to see, well, is that the one I want? You got to open it and shut it. Open it and shut it. Open it. Just tap it one time, hit the space bar. It gives you a preview. Hey, Ken, is this the one you wanted? Oh, no, I'll go down the list till I get the one I wanted. And then I can open it.
That's much better.
Yeah, because you're just previewing it. It works for almost everything. Now, obviously, you just click on it one time.
Click it up one time and then hit the space bar?
Yes, like
So
here.
You're not really opening.
You're not. Believe it or not, this is a function of PDF. That's why this PDF viewer stuff is built into the Mac. And this makes so much sense in the world. No one else does it, but it makes so much sense. Boom. That could be a photo. If it's a movie, let me see if I can get, let's see, pictures folder. Now, if it were a picture, if it's a sound, if it's a movie, it'll preview it in that little screen and even start playing it. But then you can open it up in the real program if you want. Okay? So the group question was brought up about groups in mail. So when I go here, and I can see here in contacts, I have a bunch of groups. I have one, oddly enough, I have one called jokes, right? So if I go to new message, just this little right there is context. No, this one right here, the brown one. And remember, when you hover over it, it shows it. So I see that I have a group called jokes. Okay? So now if I go here and I hit new message and I type my I want to do one thing off here. So this is how it comes, and I start typing jokes. See, it fills it in automatically. When I hit that, there's everybody that's in my jokes group. As long as they have an email. You could have somebody in your jokes group and you may only have their phone number or their address. If they don't have an email, it won't show up here. So it's going to cultivate all of those emails out of there. But when you send to a group, you shouldn't just send it to. Who here uses BCC? Who knows what it means? Right. So I'm going to Command Z to get rid of that. And right here, I want to hit BCC. This is proper net etiquette, and it'll be the last thing we'll talk about. So you have two. So you send something to the president of the company, and you CC his assistant, right, or her assistant, all right? If you're sending something to an entire group, like a jokes mailing list, if you use BCC, and it's sent to 20 people, the person you send it to is the only one that sees their own address. They don't see anybody else, and vice versa. First of all, it looks very personal, but second of all, it's not putting all these emails out there that can then be spammed.
How come more people don't know about that?
I know, it's a real net etiquette thing, and it really, I hate it when I'm on a list like that because there's, you know, it's terrible. But you hit BCC. Now, when I hit BCC and I hit jokes, I don't have to put anything in the to or the CC. They are independent. It's 3 different versions of the to. Okay? It's to, carbon copy. You can just send a carbon copy to a bunch of people, but everybody sees everybody else. But if you send a blind carbon copy or blind courtesy copy, no one sees anybody else. Okay?
Well, people don't like my husband will send me a joke, and I'll want to send it on, so I want to forward it. They don't know how to go in and delete what my husband's address is.
Right. Yeah, well, that's simple. You can go here. So if I'm going to, this thing from, well, first of all, I want to, let's see if there's, all right. One really cool thing, see this email here? It shows it has a little paper clip on it. That means it's got an attachment. Somebody sends you a photo. Look how tough it is. I hover my cursor over this and it says export to iPhoto. All those photos you get by email, if it was 3 photos, it would say export those 3 to iPhoto. If you click that, it will drop it right in iPhoto for you. And then you can delete the email because you now have the picture. That's the only part you want. It's the little baby, you know, sucking its thumb or something. So, if you go to this and I want to forward this to what we used Johnny Appleseed earlier. Okay. There we go. Now, I can simply drag, click and drag, and hit the delete key to delete those email addresses off of there. Highlight it and delete. That's the proper way to do it. So don't forward something that has a ton of email addresses on it because it's really you know, the more people we get to do that, the less there'll be spam out there. But spam's going to happen. Just don't take it personal. I mean, it gets, it's just, I hate it.
How would you add one of those emails to your contact list?
Oh, great question. So somebody sent me an email, and if I go hover over it and click on it, I can copy contacts. Now, in this case, instead of show contact card, if it wasn't in my contacts, it would say add to your contacts. So again, there's their address. I click on it, and it would say, instead of show contact card, it would say add to contacts. And that's great. I don't know if they have a letter here. There's some neat tools. So, you know, there's tons of contacts, calendars, all those things. There's a ton you can do on the Mac. Like I said, at kenspencer.com, I've got all classes I've done for it. You can go into detail all you want. I don't know if we eventually are going to do some more advanced classes here, but there's a lot of resources for that. But you know what? If we went just simply to Google and said, well, actually, watch this. Mac, how do I make groups in contacts? I just spoke that and it typed it for me. And there's my Google search, creating contact groups, etc.
Can you see when you want to do email?
Yep. Everywhere you can type, you can do it. So I'm glad that came up. So I'm going to do a new message. I wouldn't do it for somebody's address because it's so tough. Like Ken comes out as can, okay, and I'm not doing the can. But if I go down here to the body, does anyone here have a non-Apple keyboard they're using? Great. So on your Apple keyboard, you have one that's called FN. And in fact, let me try turn dictation off because this is really critical. So, your Mac comes with dictation built in, as long as it's less than a year old. And you simply, to initiate it, you go to where the function key, it'll say FN. In your case, it's in the, she has the extended keyboard. So, it's right here. On you guys have the, you probably all have the shorter keyboard. It's going to be in the lower left corner, FN. And watch what happens. Pay no attention to this hand. This is the hand you want to watch. Double tap. I double tap function and it says Do you want to use dictation? And I don't encourage you to start off using enhanced dictation. We're going to turn it off because it's also a big download. Enhanced dictation resides on your computer. You don't have to be hooked to the internet. And it'll type as you go. I'm going to show you how it'll work here again. Now, I'm going to say enable dictation. So it comes up automatically, comma. You'll notice on the microphone, comma, it shows the level with which you're speaking, period. New paragraph. You don't need to shout, comma. In fact, you can talk quietly, comma. And it does a great job for you, period. Function button. In this case, it does it afterwards. So there's a difference between enhanced dictation and this dictation. You have to be connected to the internet. How this worked is, and it's magic, and it works on your iPhone too. On your iPhone, if you have a 4S or newer, on your iPad mini, iPad 3 or newer, right next to your space bar, there's a little microphone. When you speak to it, it records what you say, sends it out over the internet to Apple's supercomputer, very secure in North Carolina, and it crunches it and sends it back to you that quickly. And it listens for up to 30 seconds and then it times out and goes again. But the deal is, it will never misspell a word because I may have mumbled and it consults a dictionary before it gets to me. This is not Siri. This is simple speech to text dictation.
So you set it up so it always does that for
You can have the enhanced dictation. You go into system preferences once you've done it this way, or you can do it from the beginning. So it always does it right now. But it listens, sends out it listens for up to 30 seconds, then sends back what I want. But if I turn on enhanced dictation, fly, and you will see it typing. The biggest distraction in the world, though, is you sit there looking at what it's already typed, and you go, you're better off just letting it go and do its thing. Now, it's not perfect. It's getting better. And 2, 2, and 2 can mean 3 different things, right? So it does a pretty good job of trying to contextualize things. But for me, for a quick email reply, boom, does it every time.
Can you use that word for that?
Yes, anywhere you can type, it's essentially, it intervenes between your fingers and the keyboard.
So what happens after the 30 seconds?
After 30 seconds, what it does is, it times out, sends you what you've already recorded, and then you can start over, you can start again where you left off.
So you just tap it again.
Speak your punctuation. Speak in, I like to speak in phrases. It just seems to work better because then I think to punctuate. It does a much better job than I can normally do. If you want to say numbers, you say numeral 1, then you would say numeral 5, comma, because if you say 1 and then you say 5, it will spell it out, period. New paragraph. If I say $435, comma, I can say it a lot quicker than I can type it, period.
You put the period yourself.
It won't do it automatically. You have to speak the punctuation. It'll speak quotes. So you'll notice that it said, it did 400. Oh, say wine.
What?
Yeah. Well, that's because of last night. All right, so it's very easy to use quotation marks. You can, quote, say, close quote, anything you want, and it will, quote, type, close quote, it for you. When you're done, you hit the function button one more time or hit where it says done on the screen. FN.
Oh, yeah, okay, so that.
It's a fun. It's a fun key. FN. All right. So any last questions? We're about ready to, before the throngs rush the door over there. What are you guys going to go do today or tomorrow or the next day?
External drive.
What?
External drive.
The external hard drive. You bet. It's so important. I can't tell you. You had a question? All right. word backup won't come to mind then, and we won't call that time machine. You go to Old Diner and it's like time machine, right?
I've been told that I can't remember the term when